Welcome to Ask Phill. I think this is episode 7. And following on from last week's bird flu episode, I just thought I'd talk a little bit about things to put down in chicken runs. Customers have been asking me how to stop their chicken runs getting muddy and horrible and smelly during the winter when the birds are confined. And so I thought we'd talk through some of the products. There's basically sort of 3 or 4 products that we can talk about today. There is bark, which a lot of people put in their chicken runs. There's rubber chippings, which some people use. There's gravel, and also hardwood woodchip. So we'll start from the top and work down with talking about rubber chippings. Some customers and several suppliers are suggesting that you use recycled rubber chippings, the sort of stuff that they use on children's playgrounds, in your chicken run. This works well for a while, but does tend to get quite heavily soiled and difficult to wash. The main problem with rubber chippings is when you're actually finished with it, when you can't get to the point where you can't clean it anymore, what do you do with it? It's not really, although it is a recycled product, it's not really a recyclable product. So you're stuck with a load of nasty, smelly bits of rubber. There are also issues of bits of wire and stuff from the original tyres that they came from. So my preference would not be for rubber chippings. Other than that, a lot of people use gravel in their chicken runs. Gravel's quite good. You think it drains freely. It's quite a heavy sort of product, so the chickens find it more difficult to scratch around in it, and so therefore what you tend to find is that after a while within the gravel you get a layer of muck and slime that builds up, and again is quite hard to clean, but it is possible to use that. The next product that a lot of people do use, and is a big mistake, is bark. It's very cheap, it's easily available from garden centres everywhere. The problem with it is that it's very porous. So what happens is all the mess, the chicken poo and everything soaks into the bark, and in there the oxygen can't get to it, and so as a result it goes smelly and horrid, and no matter how much you hose it down, you won't get the stuff clean, and then it starts to compost, and what you've got is a nasty smelly heap there. Which really is no good at all. Not good for the chickens and certainly not good for you. Our preferred option when it comes to chicken runs is hardwood woodchip. This is a sustainable byproduct of the forestry industry. So it's a British product, it's natural, it's fairly non-absorbent and long-lasting. So what we do is, in order to put it down in our chicken run, some people suggest putting a waterproof a membrane, geotextile membrane down first to allow the water to go through, which normally would be a good idea, but unfortunately in a chicken run, water goes through, chicken poo doesn't. So within 3 or 4 months of it being down, you end up with a layer of slime on the inside, and then nothing goes through, and you're back to the nasty, smelly stuff again. So put your wood chip down on to the ground, and then all the worms and bugs and everything will come up through it and help actually keep it clean, and also give the chickens a really good reason for scratching around in it and keeping it turning over and moving all the time, which is the key to getting a nice, soft, smell-free chicken environment in your run. Right, so this is Flights of Fancy hardwood wood chip, which is the ideal substance to go down on the floor of your run. As you can see, quite nice large lumps, very little bark in there at all, and when you're putting it in your run, what you're aiming for is a layer 2 to 3 inches thick. That means that the chickens get lots of ability to scratch around in it, and if you throw a handful of corn in every now and then, even better, they'll really hunt around in that for hours. Helps reduce the boredom level, of course, and also it means that you won't get much mixing of the wood chip with the soil underneath. They'll be going down to find the worms and bugs that come up through, actually up into the wood chip, and it's just an ideal thing to keep your chickens on. When you've finished with it completely, as in it's just got so soiled that you can't use it anymore, you can take it out and put it on the borders, you know, underneath your shrubs and that sort of thing. And it's a great mulch, and in a period of time it will of course eventually just biodegrade, but it will take a long time to go. But it's great stuff to put around underneath your roses and things like that. Of course, lots of nitrogen in there from the chicken poo. One bag does roughly 1 square metre to a depth of 2 or 3 inches, so it's fairly easy to work out what sort of quantity of bags you need for an area. But we found through trying lots of different products over the years, this is the best solution. So once a month or so, wash down your wood chip with a hose, flush away all the nasty bits that are in there, give it a good rake around, get everything moving. And then you should have to replace your wood chip between once every 3 months and once every year, depending on how messy it is, how many chickens you've got in there, how much mess the chickens are making, and how frequently you've hosed it down. A good thing to do is about once a month use a sanitizing powder, either something like our own Flight Coop and Run sanitizing powder or the Netex Grand sanitizing powder, about a handful in your hand over each square metre. This will keep down the amount of pathogens that are within that wood chip, and worm eggs and bacteria, and make it a much more hygienic place for your chickens to be. I think that pretty much covers wood chip and keeping your hens smelly, less smelly, unsmelly and mud free. Thank you very much indeed for listening. Hopefully I'll be back again next week. Bye bye. If you've got any questions or subjects that you'd like covered in Ask Phill, then you can email us to info@flightsofancy.co.uk. That's flight with a Y. Or message us on our Facebook page. Or you can see all our videos on our YouTube channel. If you're at all interested in any of the products that we've shown you today, then you can go on to the Flight So Fancy website, www.flightsofancy.co.uk, where there's lots and lots of poultry related products and a huge amount of information for poultry keepers. Thank you very much for watching and listening. See you next time.